Hey guys, welcome to Creative Writing. We are in our last 3 weeks of school, yahoo! So let's check out what this week holds for us. As you guys can see, everything's showing up here on the right. So the first thing we have is an Achieve on Monday, and then we have a dialogue assignment on Tuesday, another dialogue and also mood writing prompt, and then we'll have a mood workshop. So let's take a look at what that looks like this week. We go into Creative Writing into Unit 2. And as you scroll all the way down, because we're getting close to the end here, you guys can see that we start Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday here. Our Achieve 4 is, you have two options, Lego Builders Can Go Pro or Trending on TikTok. Start with your discussion question, then read one of these two articles and post your screenshot here. And remember, your screenshot it needs to have your first try score, and the score needs to be 75 or better. If you don't get 75 the first time, you do not get a grade. You need to read another article and get 75 or better on that article. So, you guys are familiar with that by now. That's your Achieve assignment. When you finish that assignment, feel free to move on to the next, which is a discussion question that you guys can access and respond to. After the Achieve, we move on to Tuesday. Tuesday is regarding dialogue. First, there's a daily journal about social justice. So there are some social justice issues here for you if you're not familiar with the topic, but your job is to choose one that matters to you. And the creative part that I like here is write as though you are directly impacted by that issue. So for example, if you are, like me, a white female in America, you're probably not experiencing a ton of perhaps refugee crisis. Well, you get to write as if you were. So I could write as if I was a refugee trying to escape the cartel in Mexico. Or maybe bullying is one of the topics, and maybe you didn't experience bullying, maybe you were a bully, but you can put yourself in the other person's shoes as the victim, and you could write about bullying. There's lots of different topics here, but your job is to be able to write it as if it's impacting you. So after you do your journal, you then read through the instructions here. You're going to use the attached handout as a note catcher and read the article. So you're going to learn about natural dialogue. There are 11 steps, and you'll use this handout to do that. So you can also use this link if you need to be able to access this 11 steps here. So this is a website. You got all 11 steps, and then this is the handout. Causes you to make a copy. You do that, and you fill in the blanks as you go. So lots of good stuff on dialogue and how to write good dialogue. We kind of just tried it
I just wanted to remind you
for our first narrative assignment, we were just kind of trying it out. So now we're actually going to learn how to write great dialogue. So you'll use this website, use this handout as a note catcher, and that's what you will submit for Tuesday. Then that leads us to Thursday's assignment. Oops, I just jumped into some random Thursday. Let me scroll down to our Thursday. Thursday, you have a dialogue and mood writing. We talked about mood before break, and so we're going to remind ourselves what mood is by using this awesome journal, thinking about mood images, and using the images here. Yes, those are sharks. I love that picture. Your job is to look at the 4 images and describe them using words that will create a mood. Remember, we learned that mood is shown in your word choices, which is called diction, in setting, and all of these images create really good opportunities for you to describe the setting and the word choice to create your mood. Then, the mood writing prompt is here. Your job is to use a similar technique to the one in the journal you just wrote, and you'll write a dialogue, this time inspired by one of the following images. Your dialogue will then tell a short story and may only show part of a story. It must, however, be at least 200 to 300 words. This is the entire assignment for the day. That's why it needs to be so long. And you need to include mood and dialogue. So here's your mood instructions. Here's your dialogue instructions. Read those carefully. Clarification on good dialogue versus not so great. You've got good dialogue is going to show what's happening versus not so good dialogue spends too much time telling. So you can already see there's less words in this good section than in this section. They tell the same story, but one of them shows it through the conversation. The other one tells it through a lot of background info. You do not want to tell the story. You want to show it. So read through those and look at the differences there. Here are your images. Christmas tamales, a fight on the court, a marriage proposal, returning from war. You'll pick one of those images and you'll write dialogue, not a short story. You'll write dialogue that tells a story. Super fun challenge there. So in short, you're taking one of these 4 photos, you're letting it inspire you, and you're going to write a dialogue that tells a story. So for some of you, that's probably, you're like, oh man, that sounds really hard. I like to write the background. I like to tell the story. So what you'll want to do is think about a phone call conversation. Maybe that happens during this. Or another way to think of it is if you were writing the script for a movie or a script for a play, what are the conversations happening right now? There's very little background that actually describes what's going on, but the idea is that you're having the conversations tell the story. So what is this woman's name? Who's here? You can add a grandchild, or you can add a daughter, or you could add a daughter and a grandchild in the conversation happening between the 3 of them. Or you could have her husband out in the living room, and what is he doing? I know from my grandma and my grandpa was watching a show, and grandma was in cooking. So what could their conversation between the kitchen and the living room be? So remember, this is a dialogue, not a story. A dialogue is going to read like a movie script or like a phone conversation. So think about the words that people say to each other and then a little bit of background. So just like this one has some background, like you've got, hey, that's my foot, Sam said. Shut up, the night watch will hear you, Jesse whisper shouted at him across the rooftop. Do you want to get expelled and jetted home in shame? So these words in their actual conversation are giving you hints as to what's going on, but also the action tags in between are going to give some clarification. Can you see anything? Sarai asked. Nothing, Sam said as he massaged his foot. He was sulky because Sarai got the binoculars and he could only see the dark playground with a bird's eye view. So this is already giving you a hint of the time of day, of the location where they are. Those kinds of things are showing up as the conversation happens. So, yeah, enjoy. When you're writing a dialogue, you should be trying to keep like about 80% of the quote-unquote story as a conversation. So about 80% of your 200 to 300 words should be conversation. The rest of that 20% might be what's going on in between the conversation. So keep that in mind. This also is a good guideline. You may have no more than 2 sentences in a row without dialogue. So notice that these are a lot of dialogue. This one involves multiple sentences in a row without dialogue, and this is a no-no. Don't do that. So please do read through these instructions carefully before you begin. This is just an informational video, so I'm not going to read through each of them for you. You've got that under control on your own. Which leads us to Friday. Friday is where we're going to start with a daily journal with an inanimate object. And you'll write from the perspective of an inanimate object that you see every day. It could be a stuffed animal, a chair, a lamp, a house, a rock. Give that object desires. What does it wish humans would do? Is it jealous of humans? For example, I was thinking if I was a rock, I would be jealous that they could walk around, those humans, and I'm stuck, waiting for something to move me. Please do use these brainstorm questions to guide you, especially if you struggle with abstract questions like this. Feel free to read those questions. And if you do struggle with this kind of question, spend the first 5 minutes brainstorming. And your brainstorm could even sound like, I don't know how to write this. What on earth would I write about? What's an inanimate object? Then go to Google. Google the word inanimate. Then inanimate object. Post what you find. use the time. You do have 10 minutes you're required to write. Use that time to at least write something about how confused or how hard it is to start this. That's fine. For those of you who are like, this is easy, and you're like, oh man, I've already wondered this before in my life. Sweet. Jump right into your story. You don't need to spend too much time brainstorming. But there's a lot of help for those of you who think this is a hard assignment. Please read through all the instructions. I've got all the help you need right here. Then the mood workshop is you're going to use this right here to read somebody else's writing from yesterday. So you are going to go into your dialogues on Google Docs, and you're going to share with a partner, and then you're going to take the time to write this dialogue and create a mood workshop. If you are fully online and you are not in a Zoom class to be able to trade with someone, then you'll need to do this one for your own assignment. So you have questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be able to complete for your own assignment. Notice that there is a rubric here with dialogue as well as mood. So in order to get the awesome section of dialogue, you need to show the story through dialogue using quotation marks and description between lines to creatively clarify the story and move it forward. You'll need to use no more than 2 sentences to show background. So keep those out. If there are more than 2 sentences, they're falling into the almost there category. On the other hand, you have mood here, and the mood is very clear. The writer used all strategies to create mood, and they used word choice in the dialogue, word choice in the tags, as well as in the setting description, and that's what we're looking for here. So number 1, you'll find a good example of good dialogue from their dialogue, and you'll write it here. Then you'll explain why this is a good quote. How is that good dialogue? Then you'll write a list of words that hint at the mood of the story. Number 4, based on these words, what kind of mood is it? You name the mood, and you can use this link to find a list of mood words. And
Yay!
then, which leads us to number 5, and number 5 is how could the how could the writer improve the story using dialogue and mood? So this is where you're actually going to give them some feedback on how this can get better. This is going to be really helpful for you and for them because our final is a narrative that's going to be really focused on dialogue and mood. So when you can give them constructive feedback, it will help you as a writer, but it will also help them as a writer. So the kind of things that you'll probably want to focus for number 5 is where do they tell the story instead of show the story? Also, where do they use words that are like not descriptive that could become descriptive? So like think about verbs especially, because oftentimes we use verbs that don't paint a picture when we could paint a picture. So instead of saying he went to the store, or he went across the room, or he went to the garbage can, if you can use a verb that better describes how he did that action. He quickly rode his bike to the store. Riding a bike is a cooler verb, right? Because it clarifies how he did it. He trudged to the garbage cans. That shows that he's reluctant. He's not excited about it. He danced across the room. Shows a happy and excited mood. So keep those things in mind as you are answering number 5. That will really help you and them. So that's all. You're essentially doing like a peer edit, but you're only focused on 2 things, on dialogue and mood. So you'll answer 1 through 5, and once you've completed that, you'll submit it here. And that's Friday. So that's our whole week. Our welcome back from Thanksgiving, Monday through Friday. If you have questions, shoot Carolyn and I an email, as I might be out on maternity leave any day now. Have a great week.